Strange but true stories. Tales from the light side, the dark side, and the other side. I'm Steve White. So we did a little poll recently, and apparently you guys love Sasquatch stories. Good to know. So to feed that need, here are 3 stories that detail encounters with the big, hairy, smelly beast. I live in New Hampshire in a small cul-de-sac not too far off the main road. It's a small town with the nearest good-sized city about 45 minutes away. Where I live, it's full of wildlife. I've seen bears, a mountain lion occasionally, and coyotes. When I was younger, I loved to explore the woods all around where I lived. I would go out in the daytime for hours at a time. I'd explore at night. I knew the woods like, the back of my hand. But after this one experience, I never really looked at the woods where I lived the same way again. So it was a few years back, and we had this really, really bad winter. It seemed like one continuous snowstorm after another for weeks on end. The near-endless snow caused schools to be closed for so many days we had to push back the start of summer vacation by about a week. So this was a Tuesday. School had been canceled yet again, and we had a lot of off and on snow showers that day. My mom was at home that day too. She was in bed sick, and my dad had to work late that night. So it was up to me to keep the driveway cleared until my dad got home. It was tough keeping up with the snow that day. But around 7:30 that night, I was about halfway through with what I hoped would be my last time shoveling for a while. The snow had started up again, but I thought it wouldn't cause too much trouble before my dad got home from work. Now, usually at this hour, you would hear giant plow trucks or people snow blowing or snow machines running trails by our house. But this night was dead quiet. I felt like I could hear my own heartbeat. It was kind of eerie how quiet it was. I decided to take a little bit of a rest on my front steps, and after a few seconds of catching my breath, I began to hear this loud banging sound. It sounded like 2 pieces of wood being banged together. It was coming from down the road behind my neighbor's house. Probably some kids or something. I didn't really think much about it. But the knocking continued for like 10 minutes or more. Then it went silent. A few minutes later, I heard what sounded like heavy footsteps in the snow from behind the house directly across the road from me. Now, it sounded like something really big was slowly walking through the snow. It was a little past dark, so I ran inside the house, got a flashlight, and I walked out to the end of my driveway. And I was thinking it could be a bear, maybe a coyote, but it really didn't sound like it, but yeah, maybe. But when I shone the flashlight in the direction of where I heard footsteps, that's when I saw it. It turned its head and looked back at me with these blood-red eyes. The creature stared right into my beam of light, and he let out this deep growl. My heart sunk into my chest, and fear washed over me. I could not put a name to what I was looking at the moment, but I just knew it was big. I estimated it to be about 8 feet tall, or maybe a little bigger, and it was covered in blackish gray fur, and it was standing on 2 legs. It growled again, and then retreated back into the shadows of the forest and slowly walked off. Now, I had seen enough at that point. I wasn't going to go into the woods chasing this thing. I was in shock, and I sprinted right back inside the house. My dad got home about an hour later. He wasn't too happy I hadn't finished the driveway. He started in on me about doing things halfway, and before he got to the part about back in his day that I knew was coming, I managed to tell him what I had seen and why I had stopped. He said it was probably just a bear on its hind legs, and I shouldn't worry about it. He said I probably scared it off, and I'd probably never see it again. Now, I wasn't going to argue with him, but I knew I had not seen a bear. The thing that I saw had a human-like face. But I kept my mouth shut, and I just went up to bed. I didn't sleep much that night. I couldn't stop thinking about what I had seen and how scared I felt. The next morning, I wandered across the street into the woods, With the snow, I was hoping to see some tracks. Maybe I could identify them as an animal I had seen before. Maybe it was a bear, and I had just let my imagination run wild. Instead, what I saw confirmed that I had seen something very much out of the ordinary. I saw giant, human-like footprints behind my neighbor's house. These were bare feet, and again, huge. The temperature the previous night was around 10 degrees, and with several feet of snow on the ground, nobody was walking around without shoes. I had my waterproof boots on, and I put my foot inside the print in the snow. I'm a size 10, and this print was twice as big as my foot. Nope, this was not a bear. I didn't linger too long, fearing that whatever made those tracks may still be in the vicinity. A few weeks later, I was walking around my neighborhood again. On the back half of the street, there are no houses and no streetlights. It was dark, I would say around 8:30, and I had just passed a little power shack when I got this feeling that something was watching me. I was still a little spooked from the sighting from a few weeks before, and I considered turning around and hot-footing it back to the house, but again, I passed it off as just my imagination. At that moment, a rock came flying towards me and landed a few feet in front of me. This was not a tiny rock, not a pebble by any stretch. This was a stone that had to have weighed 15, 20 pounds. It was tossed at me from the woods like I might toss a tennis ball at somebody. And then the smell hit my nose. It was the worst smell I had ever experienced in my life. And then a small movement to my left drew my eye to the creature. It was about 50 feet away from me, and it was the same creature with the same human-like face and the same blackish gray hair that I had seen weeks before. It was staring me down. Oh boy. What do? Run? Find something to throw at it? Lay down and pretend to be dead? Heck, maybe I'd save it the trouble and just die for real anyway. I honestly didn't know what I should do. It continued to just watch me. It didn't move toward me, didn't move away from me. We stood like that for several minutes. I thought if I ran, it was going to chase me. So I decided to calmly walk away. Very, very slowly. As I began to backpedal a little bit, it sort of mirrored my movements, slowly following me, but staying in the tree line. So then I picked up a handful of small rocks. I don't know what emboldened me at this moment to do this, but I threw them at the creature. I guess one must have hit it. It let out this horrible scream. It paused for a moment, and then it ran off deeper into the woods. That scream, it made me weak-kneed. I'm not going to lie, I fell to the ground. After a few more minutes, I got my strength back, and I headed back in the direction of home as quickly as I could. I haven't seen it since that day, or heard any strange screams, or seen any unusual footprints. I hope it's gone for good from my neighborhood. Before my experience, I was a non-believer. Now I know something is out there, and it's scary. This has been another Strange But True Stories. So let us know what you thought of these stories in the comments below. If you have a strange account you'd like to share with us, send it to us in an email to strangebutTrueStories2@gmail.com. We're on Patreon now. If you'd like to support the channel in another way, you can click the link below. If you sign up for $3 per month, it unlocks additional videos. Thanks to our new Patreon subscribers, Isaac, Julie, and no, you're not crazy or alone. There are so many people with similar stories. Dave, Liliana, Josue, Kelly, Maureen, Jessica, Michael, Javier, Brandon, and thanks Julie for the bump in the pledge amount. It's greatly appreciated. And thanks to you for watching this video. I'm Steve White. Until next time.